Hey guys, we are back, and this is kind of a different episode actually. So, I'm trying something I haven't done before. I'm actually going to try and get a picture of the International Space Station. It should be not transiting, but going sort of up about 20 degrees over from the west to the east. Um, we're not actually going to be tracking it with the computerized mount, it's just going to be a whole manual thing. So, there's a few important things. Got to make sure that your mount is unlocked so it's not going to mesh in the gears, so you have a free sort of rotation. And then also that your finder scope is just spot on, because you're not going to be looking at the camera while you're doing this kind of thing. You just have to look through the finder scope and try and make sure that you're on target. The exposures and everything are going to be with the normal camera that I've been using, which is a 450D, Canon EOS 450D DSLR. And the exposure times have to be really, really, really short because it's flying across the sky. The whole arc is going to last about 4 minutes, and each of the exposures should be around one over 100 no, it's 1 over 1,600 of a second exposure. So we're going to give it a shot, and then afterwards I'm going to be trying to go for Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, because the Great Conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn is coming up, and I'm trying to get prepared. So we're starting our planetary. I've got this giant mass that you see over here, which I don't normally have on the telescope, is our Barlow setup. So I've got two 2x Barlows on there. One of them's Astromania, one of them is a Savoni. I forget which position the letters are in, but we're gonna give that a shot. That is actually gonna be using our laptop and some software to capture the live view on the camera for the preview, because this camera model doesn't actually support video. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna hop over into all of our software so that we can get the stack and everything. So hopefully we get some good images today. Yeah. Okay, so we're on Saturn right now. I don't think the ISS stuff went very well, but we'll see upon reviewing the images. But we're in a program called Astrophotography Tool, having it hooked up to my camera. So this is the live feed, and instead of taking stills, we're capturing the live feed from the camera. So these are really low resolution, but higher FPS than we would get. And we're doing this video way because the big issue with planetary is that you get a lot of distortion in the planets from the atmosphere wobbling around. And you can see that it's not super consistent. I'm not talking about the location, but like the actual shape of like the rings and everything. Yeah, like right there. And what we do is we go into these other programs and we take the best frames where there's the least amount of distortion, and we put those together into a final image. So we're having it set to planetary. I have all the settings set. Use really low exposure times in comparison to DSOs, but sort of higher exposure times compared to the ISS. Jupiter is brighter than Saturn, so of course use shorter exposures for Jupiter, at least for setting this live view. And I've zoomed in a bit, so we are capturing that, and then we're going to go to Mars. Alright, so the ISS stuff did not pan out whatsoever. I didn't get it in any of the frames, which I would probably attribute to my not being able to track it well enough with my finder scope. It kind of surprised me. I was trying to set stuff up and it crept up on me a bit too fast, so I actually only had one Barlow in as well, which you'd figure would help, but I still couldn't get it. And I just kept that one Barlow for all the planetary, so the all the planetary stuff is at 1,300 millimeter focal length. So it's kind of zoomed in, but I can probably get further, but doing those increased magnifications gets really difficult. So let's hop into the planetary results. So here's Jupiter. You can see the banding on it and everything, which is pretty neat. I might have overprocessed this image just a little bit, but all the processing was done in AutoStacker and Registax and everything. I'll link all the programs in the description down below. There's a bunch of other people's videos for how to do the planetary stacking and stuff, so I'll link to those, but I can do one if y'all are interested in that. So Jupiter actually spins super fast, so you sort of have a more limited time on this, so you can only maybe film for like 3 minutes and then just stack those frames from the 3 minutes. Um, Also, the red spot happens to be on like the side or back of Jupiter, so we don't actually have that in the frame right now. But we'll have to see how exactly that turns out during the conjunction coming up. So here is Saturn. Saturn was pretty neat. Pretty neat. We got the Cassini division in there, so that's the little gap in between, like maybe like halfway through like the thickness of the ring. So that was pretty good. I also overprocessed this one a little bit too. It's the first time going through these, so I'll have to get better as we continue on. The Mars one turned out pretty good though, I think. Yeah, so here's Mars. It looks a bit sharper in comparison, which I kind of like. There's not a bunch of the overprocessing stuff, which is a good thing, I guess. But also, if you zoom in a little bit, first off, it gets pixelated pretty quickly. But I do think you can see a little bit of the brightening up from the polar ice cap up there on the top left, sort of. For Planetary, one of the reasons why the Mars picture probably turned out quite a bit better than the other two is because Mars was way higher up in the sky than Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn were probably at about 10 to 15 degrees above the horizon, whereas Mars was 45 to 60 degrees above the horizon. And again, with the atmospheric distortion, you really want your targets to be as high as possible. So yeah, we're gonna have to give Planetary another try, and keep your eyes out for that great conjunction coming on the 21st. I'll see you guys later.